James here from Great Martial Arts, and I have a little training tip for you right here. I got two actually. One is for if you're just starting out in Wing Chun, maybe in the first year of Wing Chun. And the second tip is for those of you that are in your second year, third year, and beyond when it comes to Chi Sao. So the first tip I have for newer students is you want to practice, and you can't always practice with a partner. Now, if you've got a wooden dummy, if you're buying a personal wooden dummy, it's a fantastic partner. But this tip is if you don't have anybody to practice with, even if you don't have a wooden dummy to practice with at home. Okay? Now, when you're first starting out, you're just starting to learn arm movements. So things like Pak Sao, Bil Sao, Ton Sao, etc. So my tip is that to practice alternating hands with these techniques without any footwork whatsoever, and just get used to being in a neutral stance and extending your techniques out in front of you, keeping them inside shoulder width. Okay? So as an example, when I'm doing Pak Sao, I can use my shoulder as my guide and making sure that they don't go past my shoulders, and I'm moving one over top of the other, just like if I was punching. Okay? Just extend the Pak Sao out here. Now, if you were on the wooden dummy, of course, the arms would stop you, right? So your hands don't travel past your shoulders. Now, if you're shifting into a different technique, such as Bil Sao, right? So then, again, in line with your shoulder, but not out past your shoulder. So your Bil Sao can be right on center, just like if you were punching, over top, or you can extend them so they're in line with your shoulder. So it can be both, here or here. The Ton Sao, pretty much the same as the Bil Sao. So I can extend it down my center line as I'm doing it, over top, or I can bring it in line with my shoulder. Okay. Gon Sao, over top, on my center, and again, I can go all the way out to my shoulder as I'm doing it. Just a slightly different application. Okay. If you're doing Bon Sao, Low Bon Sao, I'm going to bring it right here on my center. Okay. If I bring it across my body a little bit, that's okay. I just don't want to venture out past my shoulder. Okay. All right. So my suggestion is, if you're doing arm movements such as Pak Sao, Bil Sao, Ton Sao practice, is to practice just with the upper body first, right? And then if you want, add in a technique, maybe a striking technique to go with it. So as an example, with the Pak Sao, you're now adding in the punch. Pak Sao, punch. Pak Sao, punch. Maybe it's a Bil Sao, punch. Bil Sao, punch. And eventually they're happening at the same time, but in the beginning it could be the block, then the strike. If you're doing Ton Sao, same thing. Ton Sao, and then the punch. The punch is going to be on your center line, so you want to have that technique out here in line with your shoulder, make room for your punch. Okay. Bil Sao, same thing. Just the Pak Sao that has the punch slipping underneath the Pak Sao. Gon Sao, same thing. Now, because I have high and low, I can keep them both on center line, or I can have the Gon Sao move right in line with the shoulders and doing it. And a little bit of rotation of upper body can go. Right, so I'm starting to move my shoulders a bit, turn my center line a little bit. Okay, so we went from just doing the technique with the hands, the blocking technique. We've added in the strike to go with it now. And then the last thing would be the footwork. Okay, so as an example, I could be just turning from side neutral to side neutral. I'm going to go back and do just the blocking technique. Right, just the Pak Sao. If I'm doing Bil Sao, I'll switch my hands. Ton Sao, and Gon Sao. Right? So in the dummy that would look like this. Turning my feet, Pak Sao to Bil Sao. Ton Sao, I can be on the inside, right? Or I can go all the way to the outside, but it'll require a bigger step to do it. So I'm just staying on the inside. And then lastly, down to Gon Sao. Good. Now in the dummy, with the Bil Sao, Ton Sao, Gon Sao, we can add in the punch a little bit. So starting with the Gon Sao punch, looks like this. And then from here, I'm going back to the Tonsao punch. And then moving into Bilsao punch. Okay, so those three specifically on the dummy with that footwork incorporate the upper body technique with the punching technique. The Paksao on the dummy, we wouldn't have a punch with the same footwork because if I Paksao here, I can't reach. So that's going to be a step forward and a step back. So I'm going to step forward into the dummy to do the Paksao punch. I'm going to step back and then switch it to the other side. Okay, so without the dummy, it looks like this. Step forward with your Paksao foot, same side. The punch is the rear foot, the rear side. Just step back, any old way doesn't matter, and just step forward the other foot. Step back, step forward. When you're stepping forward, you're just in the side neutral stance. Okay, forward, forward. Okay, so these are like the fundamentals of Wing Chun, where you're starting with the arm movement. You're adding in a counterattack, a simultaneous attack to go with it, and then of course you're incorporating footwork. Right? These fundamentals will follow you all the way through at every level through Wing Chun. So the sooner you get some of those fundamentals down and start to become muscle memory, of course, everything, you know, is like a building block, a foundation. Everything's gonna be built on top of that. Independent movement. Right? We got one leg doing this, one leg doing this, one hand doing this, the other hand doing this. Independent movement of the body in Wing Chun is very, very key. Okay? So it's going to take some time, it's going to take some muscle memory. So practicing when you're on the dummy with a partner, but of course at home, you can still do the same practice and just get that muscle memory going, right? Coordinating the independent movement of those limbs at the same time. Okay, so for higher levels, Chi Sao practice. Specifically on the dummy, and then I'll show you off the dummy. When you're practicing on the Wing dummy, if you got one at home, if you're practicing here at the school, is to practice your double arm Chi Sao and not to use it as a rolling partner, okay? So we're not using this to roll like this with it, right? We're just starting in either the bottom position or we're starting in the top position. We're just starting there and then moving into the bottom position to work on one of your techniques. So I'll do the Chin Sao as an example, okay? So I'm gonna start here with my Fuku Sao here, and I'm gonna start here with my Ton Sao here. So as I roll up to Bon Sao, I'm going to move into the Chin Sao follow position, right? And I'm just going to stay on that same side a couple times. Roll up to Bon Sao and time that Chin Sao technique to go with the rising of my Bon Sao, okay? Now on the other side, under my Fuku Sao, I'm going to start at the top, the Bon Sao. So starting at the top, I'm then going to go underneath into Chin Sao, right? Timing the movement from Bon Sao as I'm rolling into Ton Sao to come down into the Chin Sao technique. Now I can do the exact same thing with the Lob Sao techniques. Just change the footwork into our side neutral stance. All right, so if I'm in the Bon Sao technique and I'm going this way, as I roll to Ton Sao, I'm coming into the Chin Sao, I'm going to sidestep, turn, Lob Sao, and I can follow up in my side neutral stance, or I can step forward and bridge the gap if I need to. Okay? Going the other way, in the Ton Sao position, as I roll up to Bon Sao, I'm Chin Saoing, side step, Lob Sao, Pak Sao, and again follow from side neutral, or bridge the gap. Okay? So I'll show that one more time. Roll up to Bon Sao, Lob Sao, Pak Sao, and punch. So those are the first two attacks that we learned for double arm Chi Sao, and you can see we can start applying them to your other techniques at the higher levels, like Ton Sao punch, for instance. So with my Ton Sao here, my Fuku Sao here, I'm going to roll from Bon Sao to Ton Sao and apply the punching technique, keeping my contact with the dummy arm, right? So as I punch, I'm not lifting my arm up and losing contact here. I want to almost jet Sao this arm as I punch. So rolling from Bon to Ton Sao punch, and then from here, work to the outside. Again, Fuku Sao, Bon Sao, Ton Sao punch, and work to the outside. Okay, so you can start to see how you can apply those techniques, but you're starting in the opposite position that you're going to roll to perform your technique. For instance, if the technique dependent on me being up into Bonsal, I'm just going to start in the Tonsal. I start from there. So as I start to roll up to Bonsal, I'm going to apply my Chinsal. I'm not going to worry about rolling by myself or rolling on the dummy until I really have these techniques down. Okay? So applying the Chinsal again as I roll up, under Chinsal, forward stance. If I'm in the Bonsal, as I come down, I'm doing the Chinsal to the other side. And then applying the Lopsal. Rolling up to Bonsal, going under my Bonsal, Lopsal, Paksal punch. Starting in Bonsal, as I come down, Chinsal, Lopsal, Paksal punch, and I'll just do the Tonsal as well. So as I'm rolling from Bon to Tonsal, I'm going to keep my elbow low as I punch here. Tonsal punch, right? And again, follow up, switching sides. From Bon down to Tonsal punch. So I'm working on my double arm Chisao techniques. I'm just not working on the rolling part and the timing as I'm rolling. But I'm working specifically on the timing of just knowing how to flow from Bon to Ton into that technique, or vice versa from Ton to Bon. See? So without a partner, don't worry about the rolling part. Just worry about the actual technique itself and the footwork part, and you'll find that your double arm Chisao is going to be more precise. Your technique's going to drastically improve. So by the time you go back and work with a partner again, you're going to have these techniques nailed down and be able to apply them easily. All you're going to be doing is adding in the rolling and just working on some of the timing and the feeling that you have in response to your partner. But the rest of it, you're going to have it nailed. Okay? Because sometimes when we don't know the technique, and then we've got to still work on the rolling, the timing, the feel, and we're learning a new technique, it's kind of a lot all at the same time. But this way we can separate the two. So don't feel you can't practice by yourself. You can totally practice by yourself. Wooden dummy, no wooden dummy. If you've got one, great. It drastically helps. But if you don't, boom, you can still practice all by yourself. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope this helped. Check out the next video, everybody, and happy training.